From the WLRN Miami Herald newsroom, I'm Wilson Sayre. Almost 2 years ago, Darren Rainey was found dead in a scalding hot shower at Dade Correctional Institution. Despite several accounts that the 50-year-old's death was the result of abuse, no one has been held accountable, nor has the medical examiner completed an autopsy. Rainey was mentally ill and convicted of cocaine possession. George Mallinckrodt was a psychotherapist who counseled inmates who came in for mental health problems at Dade Correctional. He's come forward as a former employee to talk about the abuse he saw and fought at the prison. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
What did you see when you were working at the prison?
Well, I've seen the trash talking that maybe went over the line, and when I was new and fresh into my prison experience, I blew it off. And then as I became more attuned to inmate abuse, I realized that it wasn't just somebody getting beaten. I did a number of incident reports on guards that would go by an inmate's cell and torment them, call them really nasty names. I mean, diaper sniper, baby raper, and then a whole lot of names that I can't repeat. So these guards would get these inmates so riled up that the inmates would then come back at them and start swearing and yelling. And then the guard would say, "I'm writing you up." We called it the bogus DR, the bogus disciplinary report. And so they would ensnare these inmates. And when you have a DR, you don't get canteen, you don't get certain things. Your privileges are reduced. It was a game they played that once I became privy to, I realized this is inmate abuse.
Did you ever bring that up to superiors when you were there?
Yes. An inmate named Joseph Swilling was beaten by guards. He was handcuffed behind his back, thrown to the floor in this hallway where there were no cameras, and 4 or 5 guards started kicking him. After he revealed to me directly that he had been beaten, I asked, are we going to talk about this? Are we going to do something about this? We just had what amounts to what I thought was a felony assault. And there was dead silence in the meeting. And then finally, the senior psychologist looked over at me and said, "Well, Mr. Mallinckrodt, if you're having concerns, you should put it in writing."
Do you think that there is a lack of means to report these kinds of instances? Do you think it's a lack of response? I mean, if it's so pervasive, why hasn't there been a big push to do something about it?
Well, one of the things that happens in the prison is that inmates can do what's called a grievance. And inmates do grievances all the time about inmate abuse. But the general prevailing attitude towards inmates is inmates lie. But what I found out is inmates may lie, but they tell the truth too. And we need to pay attention to what they're saying. These guys that are in prison and definitely deserve to be there, they're there to pay their debt to society, not to get tortured or beaten or murdered. So I'd like to see that resolved.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
You're welcome.
George Mallinckrodt is a former psychotherapist at Dade County Correctional Institution. Florida Department of Corrections did not respond to requests for interviews. This is WLRN Miami Herald News. I'm Wilson Sayre.